Okay. Ina alhamdulillah wa salat wa salamullah wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to the first class of today, which is our Akida class. And tonight, we will continue our discussion as to how, as Muslims, we can live in a multicultural society, meaning that we're living in a society, we're living in environments that have people from different ideologies, people from different belief systems, people from different cultural backgrounds, how we can live amongst them, share with them, get along with them, and still keep our Islamic Muslim identity. And that's the trial. That's the trial that all of us as Muslims around the world are met with every day. We're losing our children. Subhanallah, our children, instead of having the identity that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to have. Our children, they have no respect for their elders, many of them. They disrespect each other. They curse. They've taken on the actions and behaviors of the non-Muslims, and we can only blame ourselves as parents because we've put our children in the lion's den and allowed the lion to do whatever the lion does. And instead of us being there to protect our children or even to prepare them for what to expect, we're too busy caught up in the life of this world, working, making money, trying to have the nice car, the big house, trying to live that Kardashian lifestyle, reality TV. Everything is about reality TV, the Kardashian lifestyle, when we should have been trying to keep up with the Abdullahs. It's not about keeping up with the Kardashians. It's about keeping up with the Abdullahs. So we failed our children. We threw them in the non-Muslim schools where they learn things that they shouldn't have learned. And I ain't talking about the secular education. I'm talking about drugs. I'm talking about sex, and I'm talking about rock and roll. Your children learn all about drugs. They learn all about sex in school. Oh, yeah, from their peers. Okay. Johnny has a girlfriend in kindergarten. It begins when they babies. When they little babies, it's all about having a boyfriend. Is that your girlfriend, Johnny? Is that your boyfriend, Johnny? And these kids are in preschool. These kids are in kindergarten. Give her a kiss, Johnny. Give him a kiss, Johnny. Oh, they do that in public schools. So we have no one to blame but ourselves, So it's all about getting back to Islam and its truthfulness with the understanding of those companions. If any of the companions were living today, do you think that they would have their children in a non-Muslim school? No. I don't even believe that the companions would have their kids in Muslim schools because unfortunately, most of the Muslim schools, the teachers ain't qualified to be teachers either. Far as I'm concerned, they may have a secular education, but they don't know anything about the basics of Islam because a lot of my kids here who are in my Zoom room, my students' children, most of them attend Islamic schools. But the kids come here and tell me that the teachers are teaching them silly things like Arabic is the language of paradise. That if you need to learn how to speak Arabic, because if you don't learn how to speak Arabic, you won't be able to speak in paradise. These are Muslim schools teaching this type of nonsense, this Arab superiority, this racism, and all of that. And not to mention all the other horrendous things that's happening in regards to sex and molestation too. So my view, if the companions were here, they wouldn't have nothing to do with the secular schools or the Muslim schools. I think they would homeschool their children. They would have their children a program like Sunnahfollowers.org. That's why I tell you guys, check out Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid's international homeschool program. where your children can get a secular education and learn the correct Aqidah, the correct belief system. They learn well better in his school, and it's right there under your protection. The kids are protected, they're safeguarded because it's in the home. As Allah says, your home is better for you. And as our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, truthfulness will disappear. You won't be able to trust the Muslims anymore. You won't be able to trust your child being in an Islamic school or even going to the mosque without being harmed. Okay? The Prophet said it'll be so bad that the best thing you can do is take your cattle and go isolate yourself. So isolate your kids with them. These are the days we're in now. It's best for your home is better for you. And you don't have to do it alone, though. Not as a Muslim. Allah has given us the opportunity here in America. SunnahfollowersShop.org. Please, guys, the summer's out. Try to get your kids registered for homeschooling with SunnahfollowersShop.org. Okay? Yes. And I believe in that because I'm advocating it. And I am not a part of Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid's community. I'm not a part of his community. I don't have any children. My children are grown. I don't have any kids that are little where I have to homeschool them. So I must believe in the program to advocate it. And I put that program on all of my videos. All my videos, all my lectures, they all have SunnahfollowwersShop.org, the link to it. Go there, check it out, homeschool your kids. Because the kids are the future of Islam, and we want to not only awaken their fitra and keep their fitra burning, but we also want to protect their Muslim identity. And how do we protect the children's Muslim identity? Homeschooling them, okay, with SunnahfollowwersShop.org. And so we've been discussing this because we're living in a multicultural society, a multicultural environment. Today, we're going to go over some suggestions that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid has given that we can try to implement within the workplace, because most of us have to work because it's expensive to live. This is another one of the signs of last hour. The interest, the riba, we have to live. We're paying high rent and stuff. Like me, I don't own a home, never will, but I rent. My rent is almost $2,000 a month. That's half my daggone retirement check. Subhanallah. So how do we live in a society, in an environment such as this, where we have to work with people who don't believe like us? We have to interact with people whose lifestyle is opposite us. How can we survive amongst them and still maintain the integrity of our identity? That's what tonight's discussion will be. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Yeah. And by the way, guys, this is the 15th of July. Please support this dawah effort. Like I said, we are not affiliated with any masjid. I am not a part of Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid's masjid. I am not a part of Dr. Ibrahim Jamali's masjid. All the brothers here are imams. I'm not a part of Sheikh Atli's masjid. I'm not a part of Sheikh Morsi. Sheikh Morsi has a community too. I'm not a part of any of his masjids. He's got more than one. In Sunnah Followers Online, we are an independent, non-profit organization that's run by us women, us sisters here that hang out in the Zoom room. It's a non-profit organization, and we need your financial support in order to stay on the internet, because the internet is not free. Back when it first began in the 1986, the internet was free because it was experimental. But now nothing is free. Even the pictures we use, we have to pay for. So it costs over $2,000 a month to run a website like this, because we are not just a website, we are an online Islamic university. I don't have to pay nobody here because we're nonprofit. I don't pay nobody, and I don't get paid. I don't get paid to teach. Dr. Jamali doesn't get paid to teach. Dr. Assam doesn't get paid. We do everything fi-sabilillah here. Our payment, inshallah, we are hoping will come from Allah when we are in that grade. Okay. But in order to survive, we got to pay the fees to stream, to make the videos, the programs I run, the programs I use to put the videos out, to create the shorts, the PowerPoints, all of that we have to pay for. And that's over $2,000 a month. Please support us, guys. You can support us by using Cash App. The Cash App Sunnah Followers is on the ticker here. We prefer Zelle because Zelle is secured money and it goes directly to our banking account, and they don't take out any fees. Cash App takes out fees. PayPal takes out fees. Zelle does not. Please, guys, and you can also use PayPal too. PayPal me /Sunnahfollowers, or you can scan the QR code there. It'll take you to PayPal me. So please support us, guys, because we have what has not come out yet that is going to be a big deal besides the Zoom room. The Zoom is going to come out at the end of the month. This month, the middle, they're taking out our domain names. We have to pay for all the domain names that we have once a year. We paid for the Sunnah Followers name, the Sunnah Followers net, org, Inc., and all of that. But now I have to pay for the Atlee name, the Atlee net, Atlee.com, Atlee Incorporated, Atlee. And they charge, as you all know, for those domain names. So please support us, because that's going to probably come out by the end of this week. And I don't know how much it costs. I really don't, because they do it once a year. I can't remember. But we have to pay for all the different domain names. So please send in your donations. Okay, with that said, let's get to the class for today. I had to remember to ask for the donations. I keep forgetting. I don't like asking. Y'all can tell I'm an independent woman. I don't like asking for nothing. But I have to, because this is your chance to get blessings too. Because when you guys donate for this website, look at this is barakah for you when you in the grade. Anybody that listens to any of our lectures here or learns anything from us, and y'all know I teach everything. I teach all about Aqidah, teach how to pray. Anytime they make salat, you'll be getting a reward because your money made it possible. You kept us on the internet, and all the Muslims around the world can benefit. So this is ongoing charity, not just for me and Sheikh Atlee and Kareem and everybody. This is ongoing charity for you all too. So please take advantage of it. And I'm being nuked. So make sure, AWAD, that y'all got your eyes open. He's here. He's nuking. Y'all see that lag? I'm being nuked. Shaitan does not want me to teach. Okay, but anyway, let me put the PowerPoint on so at least you won't have to look at me. You'll look at the PowerPoint. Okay, hold on. Let me take this down. Okay. Here it is. Okay, you guys will see a black screen. Okay, Shaitan. Okay, and for the people in Zoom, let me share y'all first. Lord have mercy, this idiot. This kid has nothing better to do. I don't know where his parents are. His parents needs to be at home. He came on with his camera yesterday. He's a obese little boy, and from the obesity he has, he's spending. I'm speaking as a person that worked in that healthcare field. From the obesity, the size of this kid, he spends all his time, and I know you're listening because you're nuking me. I'm just going to give you some words of advice, little fat boy. The size that you are shows that you're spending all your time on Xbox, because he's using Xbox to nuke. Okay? You need to stop using Xbox and get up and exercise. Ask your mother, ask your father to buy you a bike. You need to do some physical exercise instead of sitting up in front of the computer all day, nuking and harassing people with your Xbox. Because your puberty, looking at the size you were when you came in here yesterday, you're the age of puberty. So I want to let you know that Allah is going to hold you accountable. Allah is holding you accountable, little boy, for everything that you do. And you're harassing a female daya. You're standing in the way of the true Islam being taught. So you're held accountable for this. You better hope that you don't die. And by the way, is there sound on YouTube, guys? Because somebody said they don't have any sound.
There's sound.
Okay, well, okay. So for the little fat boy, you need to put that Xbox down and go get a bike and start riding it. Go swimming. Spend more time doing physical exercise instead of sitting on Xbox, creating sins for yourself. And Xbox is not a good place for young boys to hang out with at, because you're going to end up becoming in contact with the dope dealers too. And they have drug dealers right there in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom where you are. You live in London. Okay? They got dope dealers too, and they use Xbox to connect with boys your age. So listen to the old lady here who you like to nuke. Get up off your rocker and do some physical exercise, because evidently you don't have any self-esteem either. Yeah, we saw you. You're pretty obese. And if you don't lose that weight now, by the time you turn 20, you're going to weigh about 500 pounds, and you will never find a wife, because girls in the 20s, they don't like fat boys. Okay? You look like, you're not a bad looking dude. Your face is handsome. Your little mustache was handsome. But you got to get that fat weight off. So put that Xbox down and go get a bike. Go outside and ride it. And say no to the dope dealers when they try to pick you up to sell for them. You're headed for a bad lifestyle. And the crime rate for Muslim kids in Birmingham is pretty bad. Oh, yeah. Y'all end up falling for that crap. And the way you look, you're Algerian. I know what you are. You're either Lebanese or not Algerian. I believe you're Algerian. Oh, yeah. You better get it together, little boy. Where's your parents? Working? Your mom's working? Your dad's working? Get up off that Xbox. Word of advice to the kid that wants to nuke. Okay, I'm sorry, guys, but I said I was going to tell him, because, kids get caught up into that. My oldest grandson, that's what he got caught up into, on that Xbox. All day. He got fat, was obese too. And look what happened to him. All right, let me put the PowerPoint up. All right. Okay, can everybody see my screen? There, you guys can see. Let me make this larger. All right. Okay. Tonight. Oh, wait a minute. I think I messed up. Oh, there it is. This Zoom room has changed too. Zoom's added no more stuff. Tonight we're going to be covering pages 413 through 416. And I really like how Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd ends this chapter, because he shows us how to harmonize, how to harmonize our Islamic values, living in a multicultural world. And let's take a look here. He starts off by reminding us. He says, in the rich canvas of multicultural societies, such as America, such as the United Kingdom, such as Australia, such as even Antarctica for my 4 Muslim scientists. I have 4 Muslim scientists watching in Antarctica. And by the way, thank you for the pictures. They sent me some more pictures of Antarctica. It is all ice. And they sent me pictures of the little American, the American side of it, little condominiums they live in. And the inside is really nice. Pretty up to date, man. They got the wooden floors. They got the granite, like I got the open floor plan. Y'all got it going on. And they say the government pays for everything because they're all scientists. For those of you who don't know, the only people who live in Antarctica are scientists. And every country, these sisters explained to me, every country has a group of scientists, and they have their different part of Antarctica. And they sent me photos of the USAs. And these 4 women are converts. Oh, yeah, they're converts to Islam. They learned about Islam from other Muslims that they came in contact with, working in their field as scientists. And they've been learning the basics from me. May Allah bless these sisters, and may Allah keep you and your families, because they got families too, a couple of them do. May Allah keep y'all safe in Antarctica, you know, in that cold weather. SubhanAllah. And thank you again for those beautiful pictures. So here we can see in the rich canvas of multicultural societies, practicing allegiance and disassociation requires a lot of care, guys, a lot of thought, a lot of knowledge, because you're going to be exposed to other ideologies. You're going to be exposed to other lifestyles, and you're going to have to be able to embrace the differences and still uphold your Islamic values. And for the sisters in Antarctica, they were telling me, because we did a WhatsApp talk yesterday night, or it was real late for me, but I was awake. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, but I was able to talk to them. They did a multi-call with me. It was really interesting. And like they were saying, they were telling me that most scientists who are on their level are all PhD scientists that are into, you know, the type of thing that they're into. They don't believe in Allah. They told me you'd be surprised how many PhD scientists that's into that, what they're into. They reject the notion of Allah's existence. They reject the notion of Allah being the creator of everything. They believe everything was evolved. Everything evolved. Bacteria evolved. The animals evolved. Man evolved. It was an interesting conversation that we had. So they were telling me how it's so hard for them. First of all, the people look at them like, wow, they can't believe that these 4 women and their families have embraced Islam. And then they look at them weird because they all are PhDs. They all know the theories of evolution and all that crap, but they know that crap is false. So we had a nice discussion before Fajr, my time, about that. So, you know, as Muslims living in multicultural societies, we're going to have to embrace the reality that people are not going to agree with us. People's lifestyles are going to be different than us. And we're going to have to accept that without us trying to compromise, without us trying to compromise our identity, like those 4 women and their families in Antarctica are. They're not compromising their Muslim identity. So Kareem Abu Zayd, mashallah, he's given us. Oh, okay. Yeah. Kareem Abu Zayd, alhamdulillah, has given us some examples as to how we can live in a multicultural environment and still maintain our Islamic identity. And number 1, it all begins with knowledge. We have to become aware of the cultures around us. Remember, guys, Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, and I want my sisters in Antarctica, this is the verse that we talked about this morning. Allah says, "O mankind, we have created you from a male and female, and we made you peoples and tribes so that you can get to know one another." Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And by the way, Allah also says in another verse of the Quran that everything that he created has its own community. And this is something that me and the sisters, they're scientists, they study the wildlife, they study the whales and dolphins, and they also study the earth and all of that. And we were talking about that, how everything has its own community. The dolphins have their own community, their own rules, their own regulations, their own instincts. The wolf has theirs. Even the flowers, they have their own communities too. So that's something that me and the sisters from Antarctica was speaking about. And they said that that's what drew them to Islam, because being the scientists that they are, they can relate to how every bit of everything of Allah's creation has its own community. So Allah is telling us that he created us and made us all different, and for us to go out and, get to know each other. So Allah is encouraging us here, to develop an understanding with each other, to seek knowledge of each other, to know that we all are different. We come from diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures, but we're still the same, meaning that we were still created for the same reason, just like the dolphins, just like the whales, just like a bacteria, just like a flower. They were all created with the same purpose as us, guys, to worship Allah alone and submit to him. The difference is the animals, the fish, the trees, the insects, they submit to Allah. They are fulfilling their purpose. It's us, humans and jinn, that are not, because we took on the gift of free will, whereas the dolphins, the whales, the ants, the butterflies, the snakes, the flowers, the trees, even the sun and the moon, they didn't accept it. When Allah created those entities, he offered them the gift of free will. They rejected it because they knew better. But we took it on because we're arrogant. We want to be superior. And we didn't think of the consequences that would come with it. And what's the consequence that comes with us taking on free will? The consequence is that we will be judged and punished, whereas the animals will not. For example, as I was explaining to the sisters in Antarctica, on the day of judgment, the whales, the orca, the dolphins, the sea lions, the ants, the bees, the cockroaches, la cucaracha, they will all be raised up. They will settle the scores amongst themselves. And then they will disappear. That's it. Just disappear. But that won't be the state with us. You know, we're either going to end up in hell for eternity or paradise because of the free will that we accepted. So as Muslims, it's important for us to be aware of that, to be aware how this was the will of Allah. It was Allah's will for us to be different. It was Allah's will for us to speak different languages. Because I speak English, I'm not better than you. Because you speak Arabic, you're not better than me. Just like because that dolphin speaks dolphin doesn't make him no better than that goldfish. We all were created for a purpose by Allah. And all Allah cares about is how we lived up to that purpose. Y'all understand that? So cultural awareness and education is very important if we want to live in the societies that we live in. And let's give an example. You are a Muslim family living in a neighborhood where the majority of the people are Hindu. How can you bring about cultural awareness for yourself and your family? Well, you can take the initiative to educate yourself about the Hindus, their religious festivals, their cultural beliefs. And so that way, when the Hindus approach you and they ask you to participate in their festivals or to accept the gifts on their special days, you can convey your respect to your neighbors and let them know, I can't accept your gifts. I cannot participate, not out of disrespect, but because my belief system is just differently. It's just different. So it's important to make yourself culturally aware of the people that you live amongst. Learn about them. You're an Arab. You're in America. Learn about African Americans, because this is a big problem. Many of the Arabs, unfortunately, here in America are very racist towards African Americans. They know nothing about African American culture. They think that because African Americans speak with loud voices that we're angry. You think that just because African Americans don't beat around the bush, that they're criminal. Learn about the history of the African American, what they've had to endure over the years. African Americans didn't even reach the level of being recognized as anything different until the 70s, to be honest. And even today, they're still not recognized. Black lives don't matter. So that's just an example. You are here in America. You're from Pakistan. You're from Arabia. You're from wherever, Antarctica, from Canada. Educate yourself about the people that you live amongst, okay? Also, once you educate yourself about the people, the non-Muslims that you live amongst, and the Muslims too, then try to look for common ethical ground. Well, for example, for the Muslims who are Pakistani, the Muslims that are Arabs, the common ground is that we all believe La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And so we are supposed to build our connections over that. Our wala wal bara is based on that. But how do you develop it with the non-Muslims? Well, look to see what you have in common with them. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam illustrated that when he moved to Medina with that treaty of Hudaybiyah. He had to live amongst the Jews and Christians and other tribes But he looked for a common ground. And the common ground was they all wanted peace, because the Arabs were a warrior people. They were fighting with each other. So the common ground was peace for all the tribes to get along. And you build on that. Let's give another example. Say, for example, you go to work. Remember, you have to work in America because America's expensive. So you're working with a bunch of non-Muslim women and men. On the job, you have to find a common ethical ground with your co-workers. So say, for example, the co-workers are asking for an eco-friendly workplace. So that's something common. That doesn't have go against your religious belief. I'll support you. I'll volunteer to be included in trying to build an eco-friendly workplace, or a workplace free of discrimination. Okay? Because America is very racial. On the job, we want to have a non-discrimination policy, where I'm not going to discriminate against you because you're black. I'm not going to discriminate against you because you're Arab. I'm not going to discriminate against you because you're Pakistani. That's how I got involved with the unions. When I was 20 years old and started working for the government, I had to find a common ethical ground. Well, justice, civil rights, because even in the 80s, the African Americans and other people of color, the Hispanics, were still fighting for a common ethical ground. They were fighting against that discrimination on the job. So that's what led me to become first a union steward. I became a union steward because, hey, that's justice. I'm a Muslim. We hate that discrimination, that racism. You're going to treat this employee different because he's from a different country or he's a different color. So I started off, that became the common ground. Then I became a chief steward. Then I became the vice president. Then I became the president of my union. Okay? Subhanallah. So again, find a common ethical ground, with the non-Muslims around you that you can share a valued ethical sense with. Okay? Also, balance. Remember, Islam is all about dignity, humility, and balance. We have to learn to balance between the principles of wala wa bara and cultural sensitivity. We all know, for example, homosexuality. This is against our way of life. We distance ourselves from that. Let me share an example. I just retired 3 years ago. Before I retired, I was still a union rep. I was a union representative. I had to represent everybody that worked for the state, regardless of their race, regardless of their color, regardless of their religious belief. And I was for that because my contract is like a Quran. I used to tell them that. I was on the negotiating team. I had a lot of stuff in our contract, and our union contract did not contradict what Allah says in the Quran. But there came a time that I would have to represent the gay employees. Oh yeah, that gay stuff started off, really became rampant in the late 80s, early 90s. Now, my religious belief is, this is the worst sin that any human can commit. So what I would do if I had an employee who was homosexual or gay, I would pass it on to another union steward to handle. I didn't handle it. I would excuse myself from it, because I chose not to be a part of that. I told them that's my civil right. I'm also a paralegal. I would tell the other union reps, hey, my civil right is this is totally against my belief system. I have nothing to do with this. So I'm going to pass this case on to someone else. You handle this case. Okay. And I made sure that I gave it to a good rep. I didn't just give it to the worst union rep. I would give it to another rep. I was the best, but I would give it to the second best. So a law can't say I was being unjust, that I was being unfair. I would just exclude myself from this if we had to do arbitration, if we had to do mediation, and the employee belonged to the was LGBTQ, I wouldn't represent that either. I would say to another rep, I'm sorry, I'm not going to mediate that case. I am not going to arbitrate, because I was an arbitrator and a mediator too. I'm not going to arbitrate. I'm not going to judge that case. And I'm not going to try to mediate between this. Okay. The same if an employee was guilty. If an employee was guilty of client abuse, if an employee was guilty of raping a client, you think I took on that crap? Oh, no. I stood up for what was right, what was wrong. And that's another reason why I never lost a case. Never lost a case in the 36 years of doing that, because the management team knew that if Layla was representing you, number one, the person was innocent, because they knew I would never take a case of a person that was guilty. Okay? Yeah, you can, if you in the legal field, you can get around that stuff. You just got to know how to play the game. So, as Muslims, we have to balance between our principles and show cultural sensitivity. I didn't let the LGBTQ employees know that I hated that fact that they were that way. I didn't hate them personally. I treated them like I did any other employee. If I had to go to work, and if a client was possessed by his or her jinn, and that client was ripping the arms off of an employee, I didn't ask if the employee was gay. I jump right in there, pull that client and take it down to the floor, recite my Quran, and expel that jinn. Okay? So I was fair to everyone. I was sensitive to everyone. But I never compromised my deen for anyone. That's what Islam teaches. Islam teaches respect for everyone. Even the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught the companions, when a funeral procession passed by, he would stand up to show his respect for humanity, regardless of religious belief. And that's what I would do. I wouldn't ask what religion or what creed or belief a person was. If an employee was getting their heart ripped out, their face tore off by a jinn, Layla was there. Okay? So you can do the same thing. Let's say, for example, you're on a job. You're a Muslim. You attend meetings with non-Muslims. And before they begin their meetings, what do a lot of them do? They like to say a prayer. They like to say a prayer. Even my union would do that. Right before we would have our negotiations meetings, they'd start off with a prayer. I didn't do that. I would excuse myself from the room. I'd go out and get the donuts. I would say, okay, while you guys are doing the introduction and all that, I'll be out getting the donuts. I'll go get the donuts. Who got the money? Because I ain't paying for it. I tell them I ain't paying it. Give me the money. I'll go buy the coffee and donuts. How many people want Starbucks? Okay, I would go out and do that and come back after that, after the intro and the swearing in, because some of the people, especially in corrections, some of my correction officers back then would do some swearing in and stuff. I didn't want to be a part of that. I don't swear and I don't pledge no allegiance to nobody but Allah. I don't pledge no allegiance to no state flag, federal flag, or any other hag. And so I would go out and get the coffee and donuts. Okay? Come back when all that part is over. When I come back, I'd sit down and say, okay, let's decide what we negotiating on. Are we going to have to strike? Are we going to have a picket? Or are you going to, conform to what we want? I came back taking care of the business. Okay? And also, we should engage in cross-cultural dialogue. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this. He never sat around arguing and debating a religion. He never played Bible versus Quran like you Muslims today are doing. But what he did do is sit down and talk with the non-Muslims to see what their needs were, what the problems they had. So he could try to, help create an environment of respect and understanding. He would ask what people's concerns were. Okay? And that's what we Muslims need to do. Stop arguing and debating the Bible. The Bible don't exist anyway. Allah destroyed it centuries ago. And instead ask people what are their concerns, that what are the concerns that impact their families? What are the concerns that impact them on a personal level? Leave that religious stuff out of there. And again, language is everything. One of the things I do not like, and I don't hide it, a lot of these Arabs will come to America and pretend that they don't speak English. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. First of all, I'm half Arabic too, and I ain't nobody's fool. I know that English is the second language of most countries. So who you pretending? If you're educated, you know English. In the Arabic countries, if you don't know English, that means that you come from a low background. The second language of the Emirates is English. Everything in United Arab Emirates is written in English and Arabic. Kuwait, the same way. They learn English in school. If you can't speak English, that means something's wrong, that you came from a poor Bedouin lifestyle and you're not educated. So, but they'll come to America and pretend like, no, me no English, Please. How can you communicate to a people if you don't speak their language, guys? You need to learn the language of the land that you're living in. Just like if I were living in an Arabic land, I would learn the Arabic language. You're living in an English-speaking land. Learn English. The Quran was revealed in Arabic, but its teachings are universal. Learn how to apply the teachings of that Quran in the language that people understand. Does everybody understand that? How can you give dawah to the people if you don't speak their language, if you don't speak on their level too? The Prophet Muhammad said, don't speak above the people and don't speak beneath them, and speak to them in the language they understand. Because the Arabs spoke different dialects. They spoke 7 different dialects in Saudi Arabia. The Prophet ﷺ, for every verse, every surah that Allah sent down, it was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad in all 7 dialects. He would go to each tribe of people and teach them the Fatiha, for example, in whatever dialect they spoke. And when he sent Mu'ad out to convey Islam to the people of Yemen, he told them, speak to them in whatever language they speak, and do not speak above them nor beneath them. This is in Sahih Bukhari. This is in Sahih Muslim. But you brothers want to pretend to be scholars, and you come here to America and say, speak no English. Go back home then. I'm sorry. If you speak no English, then you are of no purpose here in America, because America don't have a second language. The language of America is English. So if you don't know English, your days of scholarhood have ended, because you're not going to be a benefit to any of the Muslims in America, because even the Arab Muslims in America, most of them don't even speak Arabic. They grow up learning English. So if you're a scholar, you better learn the language of whatever land you're going to. Like the Prophet told Mu'ad, speak in their dialect. Okay? Otherwise, your days of sheikhhood and scholarhood and fame have ended. Go back home to Saudi. You'll do better there, because America needs American English speaking people to teach them, not somebody that me no speak no Anglo. You sitting there talking in your language, and then when you're done, you got a translator, and he'll say, and that's it. You done spoke for 30 minutes, and they translate your khutbah to 5 sentences. We don't need that in America. Go home. Go home. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. Haven't you heard that? When I'm in America, speak American English. Okay? And also, guys, an example that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd put here was about you got a Muslim woman having an interfaith discussion with other women of other faiths, and she speaks about the dress code for Muslim women in Islam, and she compares it to the dress code of women in Christianity and Judaism, and she highlights the similarities, pointing out that in the pictures that you look at, the women in the 6th century dressed more modestly than how they dress in 2024. Okay, that's an example he used. Okay, but my thing is, you got to learn the Arabic. How can you give dawah to people if you don't speak? I mean, you got to learn English. How can you give dawah to people if you don't can't communicate with them? You know, you're new in a city. You're new in your apartment complex. Okay, you want the people to not look at you as being a threat to them. Sit down and have these type of conversations with them, but you have to be able to communicate to them in their language. Okay. Also, another thing that we can do to bridge the gap of multicultural is learn from our role models, those companions. You have to educate yourself. How did the companions blend in? Look at Bilal. May Allah be pleased with him. He was an Ethiopian black slave. He was also half Arabic too. Just to let y'all know, a lot of you brothers and sisters don't know, Bilal was not 100% Ethiopian. His father was Arabic. That's just a little history thing. I usually don't comment on it because they say black is black. It don't matter if it's a little bit or a lot. Okay, but Bilal radiallahu anhu, he did experience a lot of prejudice, not just because he was not 100% Arabic. Him and his sister, he had a sister too. She converted to Islam too, and she was an ex-slave too. They experienced a lot of racism, not just because of the color of their skin, but also because of the fact that they were ex-slaves. And slaves were viewed in the 6th century as being nothing. Okay? But look how he became one of the most trusted and prominent companions of the Prophet Muhammad. Look how he handled the degradation. When Abu Dar, may Allah be pleased with him, when Abu Dar called him the son of a black woman. And why did he call him a son of a black woman? Because Bilal's father was Arab, guys. People don't know that. Bilal was half Arab and half black. His father was Arabic. But he was treated so badly because of his status as a slave. When Abu Dar called him the son of a black slave woman, because his mother was black and she was a slave, what did Bilal do? He went and reported it to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet came down really hard on Abu Dar and told Abu Dar, you got to get rid of that jahiliyyah, that pre-Islamic way of thinking that you're better than somebody because you're not a slave, or you're better than somebody because your father and mother were all Arab. They were not half and half. Arabs were big sticklers on genealogy and stuff, guys. Still are. A lot of us like to dabble in it to this day, like me. I'm into that genealogy stuff too. I get that from my father. Yeah. But subhanallah, you know, he reported it to the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet Muhammad had to tell Abu Dar, who you think you are? You're going to look down on him because he's an ex-slave and because his mother was black, that both his parents weren't Arab? So we learned from the companions how to handle ourselves on the job when we're faced with segregation or discrimination. What do? Report it to your human resource. If you feel that somebody is being disparate towards you because of your race, your religion, your color, report it like Bilal did. Report it to the person of authority, because there are laws here in America to protect you from that. Okay? Also, Kareem Abu Zayd came up with another thing that we could put to use that would help us to navigate through the multicultural society we live in. He says, do a lot of self-reflection. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, "O you who believe, fear Allah and keep your duty to him, and let every person look to what he has sent forth for tomorrow." So, and I tell you guys this all the time. I teach my students, before you go to bed at night, before you go to sleep at night, we should all reflect upon our day, what we did during the day, what choices we made, how we handled ourselves in different situations. Because through self-reflection, you can correct the wrongs you've done. You can repent from the sins you've committed. Okay? Also, here's an example that Kareem put together. A Muslim college student takes time out of her busy schedule every week to reflect on her actions, considering whether she has upheld the Islamic principles. Okay? She did self-examination like Allah is commanding us to do here. Did I transgress the limits? Am I trying to blend in and be accepted by the kafir? Or am I standing up for what's right and distancing myself from that ideology that's wrong? Am I sitting here finding myself thinking that Darwin and Sigmund Freud were good, great scholars? If I'm allowing the non-Muslims to make me believe that Darwin and Sigmund Freud were great thinkers and great scholars, then that means that I've compromised myself. I've compromised my Muslim identity, and I got to check that. I got to stay away from those type of classes. Don't take those type of classes. Y'all understand? All right. Finally, I want us to realize that this chapter was such a great chapter because all of us are living in multicultural societies. So we're going to have to keep our Muslim identity and still interact with the people around us. It can be done. It's done every day. I did it for 36 years. Like I said, I found the commonality. The commonality was justice for all. So how was I able to work the job I had dealing with jinn and do my best at that and still maintain my Muslim identity here in America? You know, I found the commonality being a union steward. Being a union steward, that really, and a union representative, because union reps, we fight for justice for all. Okay, so that helped me to keep my identity and find common ground. So all of us are going to have to do that. I did it in school too. I went to college, got 2 college degrees. I'm also a licensed paralegal, the only Muslim doing that. What commonality did I find? I became the editor of my college newspaper. Oh yeah, I was the editor of the Cleveland State Vindicator. Sure was. Feared by people. Uh-oh, she getting ready to do an investigative report. I was into investigative reports. Okay, that was my commonality. Okay, I stayed away from courses dealing with logic, Darwinism. I didn't take those philosophy and psychology classes because they're garbage. I took classes that helped me in my dawah, communications, phonetics, speech pathology. I took those type of classes. Journalism, broadcast journalism. That's why I can do these videos. How to make a movie. Layla can make movies. I took classes that's going to help benefit me with my dawah. I stayed away from those classes that would compromise my Islamic identity. We have to understand, guys, that Islam is a way of life, and it's a religion of engagement. It's a religion of outreach. It's a religion of understanding. And if you can find the balance, if you can learn to balance your allegiance to Allah and this religion and distance it from that which comes between it, then you'll be able to survive in any type of environment, any type of society, and deal with any type of culture. So this was a very good chapter, alhamdulillah, that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd put together in this book. And tomorrow, I'm going to move on to the next chapter, which goes into more detail about how to maintain our Islamic identity while living in a non-Islamic environment. So, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Are there any questions or comments? I guess the little fat boy went and rode a bike. I see he's not nuking me right now. You know, parents, we need to watch our children. Yeah, he came on here yesterday and didn't know his camera was turned on. He was sitting on the couch eating on his Xbox. That's his nuke machine. He got a good one. You bought him a 350 Xbox. See, I'm an investigator. I caught it all. While you out making money, what are your children doing? As Muslim parents, you have to keep your eyes on your children because they into some bad things. If he's nuking, he's also into the sex too. There's a lot of sex on that Xbox, you know, a lot of these sex websites. So don't think that your son he's not only harassing other Muslims by knocking them off the internet, but he's probably involved in the sex field too. He's in those sex rooms watching those women get naked. Oh yeah, because your son's smart. He can fake identities. He's changing his IP. He's going into sex sites. Don't think he ain't. You sisters need to watch your children, especially your sons. All right. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Brother Zahir. Okay, he's asking what is my opinion of young people majoring in Islamic studies? First of all, there's no such thing. I repeat, there's no such thing. I repeat again, there's no such thing as a degree in Islam. Y'all understand that? There is no such thing. I repeat, there is no such thing. I repeat, there is no such thing as a degree in Islam. Why? Because Allah tells us in the Quran that hikmah, understanding of this religion, is a gift that comes from him, and he only gives it to a select few. That's what Allah says. Nowadays, we're living in the days of the Ruwaybida. The Ruwaybida. No one can make you a scholar. No one can give you understanding of this religion. It comes from Allah. And he says that he only gives it to a select few. Just because a person can read the Quran in Arabic does not make them a scholar. Scholar is a term of endearment. You may be a scholar in your circle. Maybe you're the most knowledgeable person in your circle, but you may not be the knowledgeable person in my circle. So scholar is a term of endearment. Okay? My advice, any Muslim, if you want to go to college, what's the purpose of going to college? The purpose of me going to college was not to learn Islam. I already knew Islam and was still learning it. I have teachers. I learned Islam from Sheikh Yusuf Qaradari. I learned that was my teacher. Not only was Yusuf Qaradari my teacher, but Umar el-Eshkar and Sheikh Abu At-Tayyib. Those are three real scholars of Islam. I learned my deen from them. I didn't go to school to learn Islam. What would I go? That's stupid. Because hikmah comes from Allah. Can't nobody give me hikmah. But what I did go to college is so I can be able to provide and maintain myself. Because I had went through a divorce. I got married when I was 14. My husband and I were divorced when I was 21. All my life, I had been taken care of by my family and my husband. My husband was gone. So I had to do like any American. I had to go out and get a job. So I went to college and got a college degree so that I could get a job to take care of me and my daughter. Okay? If you're going to go to college, guys, go to college so you can provide and maintain your family, especially you brothers. As men, you are supposed to be the provider and the maintainer of your family. Go to school and get a degree in engineering. Go to school and become a doctor like Dr. Ali. Go to school and become a geologist like Dr. Dramali. Go to school. Let me tell you about Sheikh Morsi, my teacher, Abu At-Tayyib. Abu At-Tayyib has a degree in chemical engineering. He got a degree in chemical engineering to provide and maintain. He didn't go to school to learn Islam. He learned Islam from the scholars of Islam, just like me. That's my answer on that. Because hikmah comes from Allah. Most of these brothers who have graduated from universities, look at them, they're corrupt. Most of these brothers who have graduated from universities, they know nothing about the hadiths. The only hadiths they learn is Riyadh al-Salihin and the 40 hadiths. And those are not even sources. They can't tell you Bukhari. They haven't memorized Bukhari by heart like I have. They haven't memorized Imam Muslim's collection by heart like I have. They have not memorized any of the Sitta by heart. You got to start learning that stuff when you're 6 years old. I started learning my deen at the age of 6. By the time I was 12, I memorized the entire collection of Bukhari and Muslim by heart. The way y'all learn the Quran by heart, I learned the Hadith. By the time I was 15, I had memorized the entire Sitta by heart. Then when I became in my 20s and hooked up with Carter Dari, Umar al-Ashqar, and Sheikh Morsi, they gave me the real meaning because I memorized them in English, and English becomes distorted. It's not the same as Arabic. Sheikh Morsi, Carter Dari, Umar al-Ashqar, they taught me the meaning of all those hadiths correctly in English, mostly Sheikh Morsi, because Sheikh Morsi's English is impeccable. So if you want to learn this deen, you need to learn it the way the Prophet said. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, sit in the company of the people of knowledge. And this is a dying art. I'm a 63-year-old woman. When I learned, we sat in the company of the people of knowledge. Other brothers my age, they learned from true scholars directly, like Dr. Dramali. Dr. Dramali's father was a well-known scholar, and his father, and his father, and his father. And they learned directly from them. Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli learned directly from the people of knowledge like Bin Baz and Uthaymin and all of them, like Dramali. Dramali sat in the presence of Uthaymin, the presence of Albani and them. This is a dying thing. Nowadays, anybody can make a school. Anybody can make a school and call it Islamic studies. There's no such thing as Islamic studies. That's something that man made up. Islamic studies for most of these schools is nothing but Arabic. Where's the hadith? Where's the history of Islam? Where's the female companions? These brothers that graduate from college, they can't tell you nothing about Aisha. They don't even know the lawful and the unlawful. They tell you that makeup is haram. How dare you when Aisha wore makeup? All the wives of the Prophet wore makeup. These brothers don't know the basics, many of them. The ones that do know are the ones that study directly, and they're a dying breed. Karadari's gone. Umar al-Ashqar's gone. Sheikh Albani is gone. He didn't have no degree either. Sheikh Uthaymin is gone. Sheikh Bin Baz is gone. But look who's replaced all these men. People with PhDs in Islamic studies, and you don't even know the hadiths. So a lot of these brothers, PhD in Islamic studies, and you're telling the people that Isha ends at 12 o'clock. Do you know how many men I had to argue with? These brothers, a lot of them that graduate with these PhDs in Islamic studies, they tell people that you can only pray Isha up to 12 o'clock. Who said that? That ain't what the Prophet said. The Prophet said that every prayer ends at the beginning of the next except Fajr. These brothers graduate with degrees in Islamic study. They can tell you about the four Imams. But they can't tell you nothing about Ibn Abbas, nothing about Ibn Umar, nothing about the companions. I don't care what the four Imams had to say. What did Ibn Abbas say? What did Ibn Abbas say about masturbation? They don't know that hadith. What did Ibn Umar say about masturbation? They don't know that one either. What did Aisha say about masturbation? None of them said it's haram. None of the companions, not one companion said masturbation is haram. But you go to these schools and get a degree in Islamic studies and you say Imam Malik, Imam Shafi. Islam ain't based on them. It's based on the understanding of those companions. So that's my view. That's my view on all these Islamic schools. We need to get back to learning Islam the way Albani did, the way Uthaymin did, Bin Baz did, Carter Dari did, Ashqar did. Because when the true scholars die, they take their knowledge with them and they're replaced with academia. And many of the academia are ruwaybida. Ruwaybida, who issue Islamic verdicts that go against what the Prophet and those companions said. And Allah knows best. That's my answer. If you brothers want to go to school to be an engineer and sit with the people of knowledge. Find a bona fide, qualified person of knowledge to sit and learn from. And learning is not Arabic, it's also the hadith. Because as the Prophet Muhammad said, until you learn the hadiths, you will never, ever, ever understand the Quran. Sahih Muslim. Okay. I hope that answers the question. Did I answer the question, brothers out here? But by the way, brothers out here, I heard that's a nice place. You asked me about the Garden of M for distance. I don't know about it personally, but I know there's a lot of good brothers who lecture there. Yeah, all the brothers that lecture there are nice. So I like all those brothers. Yeah, all the brothers that lecture there, I like them. They're nice brothers. They're good brothers. Yeah. Yeah, I like all of those are good brothers. Yeah, good people. But I try to encourage the Muslim youth here to get degrees so they can take care of their families and instead find the people of knowledge and sit with them and learn directly from them, like I did, like Jamali did, like Morsi did, like Albani did, like Uthaymin did. That's what I encouraged. Sheikh Morsi doesn't have a degree in Islam. He has a degree in chemical engineering. Okay? Albani didn't have no degree in Islam. Uthaymin didn't. These brothers, they didn't do that. Hikmah comes from Allah. And none of them can be replaced. You cannot replace Karadari. You cannot replace Albani, Uthaymin, Bin Baz. None of them. Can't replace Ibn Taymiyyah. Cannot replace Ibn Qayyim. Cannot replace those companions. Yeah. Sitting with the people of knowledge is what you're doing here, Sis Miss Jackson. Nowadays, and by the way, I was going to say that it's very easy to sit with the people of knowledge. All you got to do is turn on your computer like you're doing. Miss Jackson, you're learning the basics from me. This is what that means. And this is what I did. This is how I learned from Karadari, Ashgar, and Abu Atayib. I sat right here on my website and learned from them directly. So that's what you guys are doing. You are learning this way. You're doing it. Because can't nobody give you no degree in Islam. That comes from Allah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, y'all understand? Yeah. Right. The sister here, she said that she lives in Canada. She said the universe to get a degree in Islamic studies here, she said it's just learning Arabic. That's it. She said that their school here, you take a 4-year course of Arabic and you get a degree in Islamic studies. And that's not Islam. Islam ain't Arabic. It's not just speaking Arabic. Where's the hadith? Where's the life of the Prophet? Where's the life of the companions, the battles, the wives, you know? So that's just a term of endearment. Islamic studies is just academia made up by man. The Ruwaybida. Can't replace these brothers that died like Bin Baz and them and Uthaymin and them. May Allah bless them and forgive them all their sins. I mean, you can't replace these brothers. None of them. That's why I hold on to Sheikh Morsi. Sheikh Morsi is all I got left. I pray for him every day. Because when Sheikh Morsi dies, that's it. Layla's on her own. I ain't got nobody that's a scholar to teach me no more. He's gone. He would be gone. So I clean the Sheikh Morsi. I love him. SubhanAllah. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, that's why I was telling you, brothers. Yeah, y'all learn. I mean, if the brothers are teaching classes, you learn. Islam is based on aqidah, the belief system, and those hadiths and stuff, man. Yeah, you learn. You study with them. Exactly. Go to school and be an engineer so you can provide and maintain your family. Because nowadays the women, the role of women and men have reversed. You got women taking on the role of men and men taking on the role of women. A woman shouldn't have to work. The women should be at home with their children. That little obese boy that spends all his time nuking me, where's his mother? Where's his father? And he's in the United Kingdom. He's in London. They're 5 hours ahead of us. So that means where's his parents? He's by himself all day on Xbox, exposed to the filth of drugs and sex, and he harasses his own people, Muslim woman. The women need to be at home with their children. So you brothers need to go to school and provide and maintain your families. Get a job that pays enough where your wife don't have to work. Get a degree in something so that you can make enough money where your wife can stay home and do her job. Yeah. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to log out. Yeah, the signs of the last hour. I will be talking about Jesus, alayhi salam. We're going to cover the Gog and the Magog and the destruction of Mecca and Medina. Yeah, this is that's one of the signs of the last hour, Sister Amina. Yeah, that's the signs of the last hour all here. Okay, guys, I'm gonna log back in 1 hour. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. See you.